Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment, the perfect blend of paranormal and pop culture, with your host, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
How's it going? I'm your host who just tried some Soylent Green, and I'm going to be honest. Not bad. Not bad. Joe Wakefield.
Hi, I got to pet a dog today. I'm Ryan Lang.
Well, it must be a good day then, Ryan.
The highlight of my week, sir.
And how about you listeners out there? How is your day? We hope it's going well. If you are returning, thank you very much. We think you're going to enjoy this episode, but you should download it just in case. I'm not saying it'll necessarily help your listening experience, but there's no proof to say it won't.
That's true.
Yeah. And for new listeners, hello. Welcome to the show. It's a little weird. It's a little fun. We cover spooky stuff. We cover pop culture, but I'll go all into that in a moment. But first off, I wanted to say welcome and download this episode.
It definitely helps us out. It's the cinnamon on our butter on our bread. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do. Delicious breakfast in the morning. And you know what else is good in the morning? A new podcast.
Ooh, the best, dude.
So this episode of Earthling Entertainment is brought to you by Joy. Eat some cinnamon toast and enjoy.
Powdered toast man.
Ah, that's a good reference. And that's another thing for you new listeners. What we do here is not only a little bit of the spooky, a little bit of the creepy, but we also just make fun pop culture references throughout. But I've teased it too much, so we're just going to jump into the spiel. So, what we do here, like I said, is a little bit of the creepy, a little bit of the spooky. Sometimes it's cryptozoology, other times it's a haunting, a myth, or a legend, but it's always creepy. That, of course, is followed by a second section, which we like to call Disclosure Discussion. That one's all about aliens.
I'm just asking questions. I'm trying to keep up with Joe. But no, we talk about UFOs. We talk about aliens, extraterrestrials, theories about extraterrestrials and aliens and different kinds of races of aliens like reptilians or the Greys. That's what we talk about.
All kinds of alien stuff. Then the second part of the show, the latter half, if you will, is
Oh
all
my gosh.
dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Sometimes we have celebrity guests. Other times we have a quiz or we have a show note. Damn, I was so close. I was trying to keep up with it.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
right? The second part of the show is all dedicated to pop culture and entertainment. Sometimes we have celebrity guests. Other times we have quizzes or we have some fun genre news, but it's always entertainment. And then those two parts of the show, the beginning, which is pop culture, the beginning, which is entertainment,
That's right.
and the second half, which is pop culture,
It is.
come together to form the delicious podcast known as Earthling Entertainment. Welcome.
Welcome indeed. I feel like that sounded like a disclaimer.
Dude,
Like, like at the end of a commercial. Like,
it's the perfect beginning of this episode because it's been a rough morning, Ryan, and I just, it's all been a mess.
well, I hear you. I decided to go to the pool with my kids the other day, and I'm like, oh, I got plenty of suntan lotion on, but I didn't think about my back. And let me tell you, my entire back looks like a lobster fresh out the pan.
Oh, that's rough, but I get it because what are you supposed to do? You're a single dad. You're at the pool. You're not like a beautiful woman who could just walk up to any stranger and be like, would you lotion my back? You are a middle-aged man. If you
Well-
walk up and tell people to lotion your back, it comes off a bit creepy.
I guess it just depends on my target market, right? Like,
You got to seek
I
out.
could probably find someone who'd be willing to help me out. You know what I mean? Like, there's probably gonna be a little bit of butt touch going on, in the middle of it. But that's the price you pay for not having lobster back.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
have lobster back, so clearly that wasn't a price you were willing to pay. But what about like a loofah on a stick?
That's an
occur to you?
idea. That's an idea. Maybe like just bust out a tarp and just spray the tarp and just start rolling around on it and just like everyone just like kind of staring at you.
Well, see, that was going to be my next suggestion, as you could like squirt it on a tree and do like Baloo and the bare necessity, rub your
that's
back
right,
on
yeah,
it. Yeah. So honestly, it really is on you.
Yeah, and yeah, it's just one of those funny moments where like I'm like, I should be fine. And I was not. Sleeping the past couple nights has been rough to say the least. Sleeping with a fan on, only a sheet.
It's
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, it's been a really, really long time since I had to deal with a sunburn because I have a wife with very fair skin. And she always, like, since we've been together like 7 years, she'll cover me in like the thickest SPF. Like our son has this swim shirt that's
Uh-huh.
supposed to be like SPF. He has like a little safari hat. I'm like, we should put him out there in just swim
I
trunks.
gotta get me
Nope.
some of those.
We're gonna cover him in a gosh darn wetsuit.
Honestly, that's what I should do. I should get one of they make the UV shirts for adults. I should totally get one. But I know I'm not alone in feeling this way. It has been hot, like everywhere.
It has, yeah.
Even in New Jersey right now.
It's been hot all in the Midwest. New Jersey was really bad. I think here in the Detroit area, it got up to like 97 the other day, and the heat index was like 1010.
Yeah. Because like the humidity's been like 78%, like solid. Like it's crazy out there. Everybody, please drink water, and
Yeah.
don't make my mistake and just get riddled with UV.
Well, nature can be scary. Nature can be rough. I mean, I imagine if nature, this heat wave, was personified, it would be like a fiery redhead kind of thing. But that's kind of what we're talking about today, is nature being personified in a beautiful female form.
That's right.
That's right. We're going to cover nymphs. And that's, want to jump in right there?
I mean, that sounds like the perfect place to jump right into nymphs.
On this week's Spooky Stuff.
Nymphs, which exist in Hindu, Shinto, Greek, and Roman mythology, include any of the numerous minor deities represented as beautiful maidens inhabiting and sometimes personifying features of nature, such as trees, waters, forests, and mountains. However, modern reports and sightings are restricted to the Mediterranean basin.
Interesting. So if they exist, that's where you're going to find them.
That's probably, that's where they migrated to. They're just like, there's just too many humans.
Yeah. It's like Tolkien when he has like the 20 pages of how the hobbits migrated before we got to the Shire. Just
Yes.
information. You can track them down.
That's right.
Here are all the nymphs hanging out in the Mediterranean.
There they are. Gorgeous. A nymph in Greek mythology and in Latin mythology is a minor female nature deity, typically associated with the particular location or landform. There are 5 different types of nymphs: celestial nymphs, water nymphs, land nymphs, plant nymphs, and underworld nymph.
Yeah, like a water nymph would probably be like the lady of the lake.
Right.
Right. Underworld nymph, is that just kind of like an undead witchy kind of like banshee kind of nymph? Because how is that nature?
They just keep it underground, bro.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? On the down low.
Fair enough. So they're very good basement rap artists.
That's
I get
what's
it. Yeah.
that's what's up. They
Yeah.
find
I mean,
mon-
Plant nymphs are obvious. You get the
Yeah.
ones like that. I read this Hellboy novel a little bit ago, and it was pretty good. It was this willow tree in the swamp, and the branches came out, and the branches formed like a leaf, like hot woman that lured guys in and kind of just drank their blood. It was really interesting. So it's kind of the same thing there.
Kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
I wonder if like Poltergeist the tree was kind of a nymph in a way. It's trying to eat the kid. Remember that?
I think that's a stretch, but that was a great movie.
It was a great movie. So different from goddesses, nymphs are generally regarded as divine spirits who animate nature and are usually depicted as beautiful, young, nubile maidens who love to dance and sing. Their amorous freedom sets them apart from the restricted and chaste wives and daughters of the Greek polis. They are believed to dwell in mountains and groves, by springs and rivers, and also in trees and in valleys and cool grottos.
I mean, not the shitty grottos, only the cool ones.
That's right.
Yeah, no squares allowed in that grotto.
The sweet ones. Although they would never die of old age nor illness and could give birth to fully immortal children if mated to a god, they themselves were not necessarily immortal and could be beholden to death in various forms. Charybdis and Scylla were once nymphs, which are goddesses. Other nymphs.
Oh, they got upgraded.
Yes.
Oh, nice. So it's like a European soccer team where they can make it up to the next leg. Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
I'm glad it works.
Ole.
Thank you.
Other nymphs, always in the shape of young maidens, were part of the retinue of a god, such as Dionysus, Hermes, or Pan, or a goddess, generally the huntress Artemis. Nymphs were the frequent target of satyrs. They are frequently associated with the superior divinities, the huntress Artemis, the prophetic Apollo, and the reveler and god of wine Dionysus, and rustic gods such as Pan and Hermes. So yes, they are all over the place there.
I like Pan.
Yeah,
Yeah. You ever see Pan's Labyrinth?
I did, but I need to watch that again. I think I saw it when it like first came out, so I have no memory other than how creepy it was.
Oh, it was a great film. It was like a dark fantasy, but the thing that sticks with me is there's the villain. I don't want to give anything away for the people who haven't seen it, but there's one thing where a dude gets his face smashed in by a wine bottle, and it is the most. It is awful to watch. I hate it so much, and I haven't gone revisited that movie, no matter how much I like it, simply because that part bugs me so much.
I mean, what a strong wine bottle. It was able to just crush him. It didn't break.
I mean, you
Gotta
hit
give
it from
props.
I mean, he wasn't like beating him like a bat. He was like he was holding the base of it and just kind of like pounding it in his face.
Oh,
Yeah, it was very awful.
well, damn.
Yeah,
That'll do it.
yeah. But Doug Jones was great in that movie.
All right. So the Andanian Mysteries, an ancient Greek cult, was centered around a holy spring named Hagna, a nature spirit that looked like a maiden named Hagna that was supposed to inhabit such spring was worshipped by the initiates. They kept the rituals and special knowledge of such sanctuary to themselves, never sharing them to uninitiated people. Nymphs are mentioned in some of the most important classic works of Western literature, such as the Platonic dialogue Phaedrus and the Homeric poems Iliad and Odyssey. They are also
Yeah,
common.
Homer wrote about a lot of nymphs because aren't sirens maybe a nymph? Because if they're water-based creatures, right?
That's arguably right. Like
or is that
like
a whole different
mermaids?
thing? Yeah, I mean mermaids. I don't know if mermaids are nymphs, but they are always beautiful women.
Right?
Yeah. What if you don't go that way though? What if your interests lie elsewhere? Is it just like, hey, look at that sharp-looking dude over there?
Well,
like just there's all these beautiful nymphs, and there's one like shirtless dude. Like that one's for Gary.
well, Gary knows what Gary likes.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm saying these nymphs need to adapt for all things.
Maybe it's one of those things where you kind of see what you desire. That way they can get you.
That's what I was trying to get at, which means there's at least one or two of them that look like furries.
Oh, well, then there you go. Trying to think of an ancient furry now. And you're sending me down a path, Joe. You're sending me down a path. And I
Oh
don't
my
think
God.
there's, once the genie's out of the bottle, you know what I'm saying?
An ancient furry.
You know what I'm saying?
Like a medieval dude dressed as a wolf, just like, rawr.
So that's how they got Caesar. That's how they got Caesar. They are also common subjects in the paintings of Renaissance masters.
Are they now?
They are. And how? 20th century researcher John Cuthbert Lawson stated that people still believed in nymphs and had encounters with them while he was doing his research in Greece. He published such nymph sightings in his book, Modern Greek Folklore and Ancient Greek Religion, a study in survivals. He saw a nymph and described it the following way. I myself once had a nymph pointed out to me by my guide.
Hey, see that? That's a nymph.
Well, I'll be damned. And there was a semblance of a female figure draped in white and tall beyond human stature, flitting in the dusk between the gnarled and twisted boles of an old olive yard. What the apparition was, I had no leisure to investigate, for my guide, with many signs of the cross and muttered invocations of the Virgin, urged my mule to perilous haste along the rough mountain path. But had I inherited, as he, a belief in nymphs together with a fertile gift of mendacity, I should doubtless have corroborated the highly colored story which he told when we reached the light and safety of the next village.
So basically, he's like, a guy pointed this out and said it was a nymph. I'm not sure if it was a nymph, but when it came down to it, I backed him up in the bar.
Well, yeah, and it seemed like the guy was urging him along. Like, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Let's get the. Yeah.
It's like, yeah, they're pretty, but dude, you can look, but just go, go, go. So, and then he continues. And the ready acceptance of the story by those who heard it proved to me that a personal encounter with nymphs was really reckoned among the possible incidents of everyday life. So these people were just like, oh no, yeah, you saw a nymph? Yeah, I saw one yesterday.
Yeah.
Just saw one this morning.
That's just part of what happens around here, man.
Yeah, nymphs. Look out for them. They're
Yeah.
pretty, but don't get too close. Don't get too close. Jennifer Larson, in her book Greek Nymphs, Myth, Cult, Lore, states that people still claim to have encounters with nymphs in the 21st century. She visited several places that are reputedly inhabited by nymphs, such as caves. She also states that the modern view on nymphs has changed, as Christianity has depicted them as completely evil. In ancient Greek paganism, they were nature spirits capable of doing both good and bad things.
I mean, most spirits, they kind of say that. Like, the idea of there being a straight up, like, good and evil pretty much only is in religion, kind of. I mean, there's
Right,
the devil, there's God. But, like, a lot of these old monotheistic beliefs with several different gods, they're always, like, treated more as people. They were just like, oh, yeah, this god was great and powerful, but he got pissed off and jealous because of this other god doing this. You know, I mean, they treated him more, I don't know, like, with more relatable emotions, I guess.
I agree. I agree with that too. Yeah, because they always did. Yeah, the gods were, they had a lot of faults. There were certain ones that had pride, too much jealousy, like you said, and yeah, that's where like a lot of the tales kind of come from.
It's like, I like the idea of they even say some people are like, jinn are evil. Other people are like, jinn don't give a shit about us. And they sometimes mess with us. And sometimes it's good. Sometimes it's evil. Same with fairies. They're like, fairies, fairy tales is like he whisked them away and was stuck in a forest and came out. And it was 100 years later and the fairies are laughing and he's just screwed. You know what I mean? They're not evil. They're not good. They're kind of how they're kind of just above us. They're like how we treat other animals and things like that. Like, we'll make a whole subdivision, we don't give a crap that it affects the beaver population. Well, from the beaver's point of view, some crazy race came in, destroyed their homes, and bulldozed it.
Damn.
So I feel like fairies and all these mystical creatures, nymphs or whatever, like they're in their own like spiritual ethereal realm. They are in their nature zone, and they're like, oh, a human. I'm gonna pick him up and put him in over here.
It's like, congratulations, now you're in the Appalachian Mountains.
Yeah, exactly. Or it's like pause time. Haha.
Yeah. No,
Also, like, trees take a long time to grow. Remember the Ents in Lord of the Rings? It's like anything in Entish takes a long time to say.
Don't be too hasty.
So what if their interaction with a human is what that jumps in time could be? Because, to them, it's been like, oh, hey, what's up, bro? And it's like 100 years have passed.
right, and to them it's nothing.
I don't know. I'm just saying this whole thing started because are they good or evil? I don't think most spirits are either. So them saying nymphs aren't either, yeah, that all tracks.
Right. You never know. It's a toss-up. Tenin, which may include Tenshi, Ten no Sukai.
A different version of nymph.
Yes.
Japanese, right?
Right, which means, and Ten so Tsukai means heavenly messenger. And the specifically female Tenyo are spiritual beings found in Japanese Buddhism that are similar to Western nymphs or fairies. They were imported from Chinese Buddhism, which was influenced itself by the concepts of heavenly beings found in Indian Buddhism and the Chinese Taoism. Tenin are mentioned in Buddhist sutras, and these descriptions form the basis for depictions of the beings in Japanese art, sculpture, and theater. They are usually pictured as unnaturally beautiful women dressed in ornate, colorful kimonos, traditionally in 5 colors, exquisite jewelry, and flowing scarves that wrap loosely around their bodies. They usually carry lotus blossoms as a symbol of enlightenment or play musical instruments such as the biwa or flute. We've mentioned the biwa on this podcast before.
Yeah, there was a spider spirit from Japan that always played it.
Yep, and it would lure you in. It was a yokai.
Mm-hmm.
Tenin are believed to live in the Buddhist heaven as the companions to the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas. Some legends also make certain Tenin solitary creatures living on mountain peaks. Pilgrims sometimes climb these mountains in order to meet the holy spirits. Tenin can fly, a fact that generally indicated in art by their colored or even feathered kimonos called hagoromo, which means dress of feathers. In some legends, Tenin are unable to fly without these kimonos and thus cannot return to heaven. More rarely, they are shown with feathered wings. In a no play hagoromo, which bears a number of similarities to the Western Swan Maiden legends, Tenyo come to Earth and take off their hagoromo. A fisherman spies them and hides their clothes in order to force one to marry him. After some years, he tells his wife that he did, and she finds her clothes and returns to heaven. The legend says it occurred on the beach of Mio, now a part of the city of Shizuoka.
All right, so we covered the Greek, we covered the European, that was the Japanese. We got any others? Any other nymphs out there?
Let's see what we got here. Now, here's another one. Here was one that Joe was mentioning. An Aspera is a female spirit of the clouds and waters in Hindu and Buddhist mythology. English translations of the word Apsara include nymph, celestial nymph, and celestial maiden. In popular culture, the Spriggans are a memorable foe from the games The Elder Scrolls, Oblivion, and Skyrim, which depict a classic example of a forest nymph. And they are a pretty good foe. They can summon bears and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Why wouldn't they summon bears? But there's a lot of the whole idea of Mother Nature. It's always a female, right? You even have Poison Ivy from Batman as a good example of a modern showing of what a nymph could be. You know what I mean?
Yes. And I think we were covering it too with like when it comes to water nymphs, like where it comes with tales of like mermaids and sirens. Like
I don't know if those count. Do they?
I don't know, because they are their own category, but maybe it's just a mistake in translation. Obviously, this has been around the world. These kind of sightings, these kind of theories, and everything like that. So
I mean, that's the point. Like the idea of the female nature spirit, right? I mean, what we covered. Like I tried to mention earlier, we had Japan, we had Greece, we had Europe all together. What was the last one?
And we
Was
had India.
Yeah, it's just so something that's all weird. But apparently, they all live in the Mediterranean right now.
That's where they decided to move to.
Apparently.
but no, like I kind of like akin this to like stories of dragons and stuff like that, because it's like worldwide, right? So you see it in like so many different cultures. So to me, that just brings like a level of validity to it.
Well, there could be something too, because the whole nature spirit, the whole spirit of the woods, Watcher's Woods, it's kind of a long thing. You know what I mean?
I agree. And I mean, who isn't creeped out when you're in the forest? Like, who doesn't feel like you've got eyes upon you when you are, especially if you've ever been lost. Have you ever been lost in the woods? I have. And let me tell you, there's no feeling like that. Like, you really truly feel like all of a sudden I have jumped down multiple layers down the food scale. I am now there's just so many things waiting for me, but it's like maybe I was being misled by a beautiful maiden of the forest.
Perhaps. Well, I feel like nymphs being like, forest and water creatures. It's very earth. It's very terrestrial, right?
Quite earthly.
So why don't we get a little extra?
Let's do it.
You want to go extraterrestrial? You want to take off? Let's leave this earth and visit the outer worlds.
Shoot for the moon. You'll land amongst the stars.
All right, guys. So we got some good stuff on this alien segment, which is, of course, what we lovingly call
Disclosure discussion. Ha 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 ha. It's about aliens and stuff.
Area 51 cover story raises more questions than answers.
Huh?
Shocker. This comes to us from coasttocoastam.com. The U.S. Department of Defense has released a report claiming the Pentagon ran a decades-long misinformation campaign to hide classified operations at Area 51. However, this newest confession of lying to the public begs the question, is the story of a cover-up just a bigger cover-up of something more mysterious?
It's a cover-up inception. It's a cover-up inside a cover-up, which is hiding a cover-up.
I covered that. According to the investigation, officials disseminated doctored UFO photographs to nearby residents starting in the 1980s. This is one of the several admissions that seemingly debunk specific sightings and material proof of extraterrestrials around Area 51. One retired colonel even stated that his assigned mission was to spread alien conspiracy theories in order to hide the true purpose of operations at the site. Yet, there are still eyewitnesses who have described crafts maneuvering in ways not possible with modern technology.
Yeah. Reverse engineered UFOs has always been my theory, where it's like most of the things you see above like Air Force bases are aircrafts that we've created, but reconstructed using alien technology.
I kind of believe in both. I
Really?
believe
Yeah.
that there is like some kind of propulsion system or something that we have figured out on our own. And I do also believe that there is something that we have recovered that perhaps is just taking a long time. And that's why I think both are kind of happening.
Well, yeah. I mean, if we had a supercomputer that we couldn't figure out, but we learned little things about how it operates, which lead to other discoveries. Yeah, I agree that makes sense.
Yeah. So these sightings occurred long before and after the height of military testing, meaning it's possible the U.S. is taking credit for advanced technology that is not its own. Ironically, the government's attempt to end the mystery may have only deepened it. Since the start of congressional hearings regarding UAP a few years ago, the public has met each round of disclosure not with relief, but with renewed suspicion. Last year, the Pentagon claimed there was no evidence of any cover up, a statement they are now contradicting. The more convoluted the official narrative becomes, the more it's taken with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is misinformation has always been used, right? Wasn't there a guy who like believed he was talking to a military informant and was fed all this information and he ended up like killing himself? It was like this huge story where they gaslit this guy for like 10 years.
Dude, it rings a bell. I can't think specifically of that one, but I do know that those things definitely happen. Like, yeah, there's definitely what they call soft leaks where they will like release almost like a fake, like, oh, it actually was this. It actually was that. And then later on, it just gets kind of thrown under the rug like everything else.
I don't know if any of these congressional hearings are cover-ups though, right? Like they're telling us this alien stuff so we don't know about the other things. I guess that's possible, but it just feels like why would they do that? They're saying things they're basically come out and being like, yeah, extraterrestrials are real, aliens are real, UFOs are real, and no one seems to care. Like for years people like my dad and all these older guys in our older generation like they always said someday the truth will be out there. Now we have the government being like, yeah, there's UFOs and no one cares, Ryan.
Well, I think everyone's just like, well, I still need gas in my car.
Right. Well, it's also the world of like AI, right? You could use a celebrity's voice to be like, I endorse this terrible thing. And people will be like, oh, did you hear what Bradley Cooper said? And it's like, no. So how are we supposed to believe actual footage of extraterrestrials now? No one will believe it. You could have photographic evidence of anything right now, and people will be like, well, that ain't true. That ain't really Bigfoot. Clearly that's CGI. It's like, your arm is ripped off and it's dripping blood and there's a picture of Bigfoot eating your arm and they could be like, well, it just cut off his arm to support his crazy story.
No, and it's only going to get better. You know what I mean? This technology,
the AI,
it's only going to get better and better at what it's doing. And we're already, like you said, we're already seeing the effects when it comes to the truth and disclosure. And that's why it is, we're in a very, very odd time of belief. Neil
deGrasse Tyson said in 5 years, we're not going to be able to believe anything on the internet because everything could be faked.
Absolutely. And bots can just take over everything. Bots can just create profiles and everything. Like that's a whole nother discussion. That it's a mad world.
It's like I got catfished and married an AI robot, and now Microsoft owns my social security number.
And they lived happily ever after.
Anyways, we have more alien stories. Check out headline number 2. I shouldn't say headline. Check out disclosure number 2.
Mysterious sphere in Colombia sparks UFO talk. This comes to us from thehill.com and unexplainedmysteries.com. Scientists in Mexico are reportedly studying a metal orb that they think could have been of extraterrestrial origin after it was recovered in Colombia earlier this year, piquing online interest of potential unidentified flying object. The sphere, marked with decorative etchings, was filmed floating erratically through the sky before it crashed near Buga, Colombia, in March and captured the attention of UFO enthusiasts. A video posted online that has racked up more than 500,000 views shows researcher Jose Luis Velasquez discussing the multi-layered sphere with no welds or joints that would be expected of a man-made object of its kind. Velasquez said in a video that an X-ray found the 3 layers of the sphere to be of different densities. This mysterious object is now being known as the Buga Sphere. It is of artificial origin in that it shows no evidence of welding, and its internal structure is composed of high-density elements, his team wrote. More testing is needed to establish its origin, says Dr. Jose Luis Velasquez. Some reports suggest that the sphere's weight keeps mysteriously changing, while others refer to peculiar symbols on its surface, which, according to an AI translation, read, "The origin of birth through union and energy in the cycle of transformation, meeting point of unity, expansion, and consciousness, / individual consciousness." Oddly, sightings of other metallic spheres that seem identical to this one have since continued to emerge from the area around Buga. Videos of these objects, such as the one that can be found on the website unexplainedmysteries.com, also continue to appear. So, what exactly is going on? Could these spheres be some new type of drone-like flying device? Or are they genuinely a sign that someone from another world is trying to learn about us? Then again, it's also possible that the entire thing is little more than just an elaborate hoax. While not much more is known at this time, Earthling Entertainment will make sure to keep you updated on any otherworldly developments. And I've said this before, what are we doing with Mars? What have we done with the moon and everything like that? We are throwing out probes. We're throwing out, quote unquote, drones. We are throwing out these things because it just makes the most sense. We're not putting any of our people in harm's way. We can still study it. We can still do experiments.
Plus, you don't have to worry about space travel is kind of like deadly. It just really is. There's radiation, there's cold, there's, we need air, we need food. So sending a probe is just more practical. And why would, if an alien, assuming is a biological creature like us and they're not AI themselves, why wouldn't they do the same thing?
And I lean towards this being more real, or at least like one of the best fakes out there, if it is one, because it's already being studied. And I've read about this for a while now, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because they're actually legitimately, I saw Dr. Stephen Greer is actually in Mexico as a part of checking this thing out. And the fact that they haven't already just been like, oh, look at that, it's fake. So the fact that it's still being studied.
They're still questioning things.
Right. So that leans to, well, this could really be something. And it does. It's got these weird etchings on it. Look up the Buga Sphere, guys. It is it's different. It's different than we usually see.
So you're gonna go with like an alien space probe.
I'm leaning towards that for sure. Like something that maybe just does simple reconnaissance, like searching for water, searching for, animal life, plant life, anything like that. Sure. Just something simple.
I have 2 trains of thought. One, it would be, it could be kind of a sign of panspermia. What if it's an arc? What if it's like shooting across space, the DNA or the molecules, whatever is needed to create new life? That has always been something that I thought, because I was trying to think of, like, in science fiction, how would we make like a Noah's Ark? And well, that would be the easiest way, is implement panspermia. So maybe it's in a weird way, kind of like an invasion. There was this movie it was a 3-part miniseries, so I'm sure it was based on a book. I don't remember because I was very young when it came out. But Luke Perry from 90210 was in it. But
nice.
But it was called Invasion, and it had like these tiny little rocks that fell from the sky like meteors, but they're tiny. They were like the size of a quarter, and they would just fall over the place. And anyone who grabbed one, it would like sting them, and they're like, ah. And then next thing you know, it was a little bit like body snatchers, and they were all just suddenly taken over by aliens. And slowly, the Luke Perry's character became an alien. And in the climax of the film, he's like ripping off his Luke Perry skin, and he's like a gray underneath. And it's just the idea of colonizing or an invasion in a different kind of way. You know, not a spaceship up in the sky, but coming in the back door, giggity. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, I don't know why it gives me like a little bit of like Apollo 18 vibes, where it was like all the moon rocks kind of came alive. And
Yeah,
those
in that
things-
film, they were giant spiders, the moon rocks, right?
Yeah, and like it ends with like the scary thing being like, these rocks have been transported all around the globe. So it's like, ooh, they're all gonna come alive and get us all.
I want a sequel to that movie, man. Can you imagine a bunch of space spiders? I mean, it seems like that is just made for a B movie.
Let's get whoever was involved in Eight-Legged Freaks, get them on it. That would be amazing.
I know he's just an actor and didn't actually make it, but let's call David Arquette.
David Arquette.
David Arquette.
David Arquette.
Come on, and Scarlett Johansson, we'll bring you back. And that weird kid who was also in that Dickie Roberts former child star movie. You're in it too.
Why the heck not?
Come
make,
on, I
Make sure to
remember.
bring those glasses.
But do you have a different explanation, or is that it? We're gonna go. You say probe, I say possible invasion. I think that could be it.
They're both pretty sound theories, you know, from a couple of highly educated podcasters.
Well, you know what? Why don't you tell us what you guys think out there, listeners? If you have a theory, a thought, please share it with us. You could email us at earthlingentertainmentpodcast@gmail.com or hit us up on our Facebook or Instagram page.
That's right. But I mean, just don't be weird about it.
Sometimes things are weird in life, though, Ryan.
I mean, yeah, you know, I get a little weird sometimes.
Well, I think sometimes in things, weird is the spice of life, which is why we have a segment dedicated to the weird that happens in real life. That's right. It's time for another installment of
Real World Weird.
Would-be werewolf slayer arrested in Utah. This comes to us from coasttocoastam.com. A Utah man is in trouble with the law following a bizarre incident wherein he allegedly went after his friend with a wooden stake while claiming that his stunned companion was a werewolf.
Yeah. Seems like an easy mistake to make.
Yeah, I've almost gotten you a couple times.
Well, I am quite hairy.
He is. In places that would surprise you.
The tip of the nose. It's called my nose beard.
Look, I
that
wanted to come
image-
up with something.
Is that image messing with
And
you now?
it just put a dead halt on my thought process there. So just jumping back in.
Fair enough. Utah guy f***ing with his friend. Got it.
According to a local media report, the weird episode occurred on the afternoon of Saturday, June 14th in Salt Lake City, as Jose Manuel Perez and the unnamed victim were eating lunch. At some point during the presumably otherwise normal meal, he inexplicably attacked his friend, which led to the pair scuffling. When Perez subdued the victim with a chokehold, he shockingly produced a wooden stake and made a shocking declaration. A police report on the incident indicated that Perez told the man that he is a werewolf and was going to pierce his heart. Fortunately, his lycanthrope slaying skills proved lacking as the victim managed to escape his clutches and flee the scene. When authorities later caught up to Perez, he was in possession of the man's backpack and, for reasons unexplained, several rocks. Cops subsequently charged Perez with aggravated robbery, which, while serious, likely pales in comparison to what he might have faced had his werewolf hunt been a success.
Yeah. I just have like two things that bother me about this article. One, why is he trying to kill a werewolf like a vampire?
Thank you.
Does he not have he had no silver bullet? Did the report, was it wrong? Was it like he thought he was a vampire? Like, clearly this guy's insane because he doesn't know how to kill a werewolf.
Right. And I mean, maybe if you had like a silver spike,
Yeah.
would that work? Or is it only silver bullets? I don't know. Like that, it's a little, gets a little hairy in the description there.
Yeah. And you know, The other thing that really bothers me about this article, Ryan, it says right here, he shockingly produced a wooden stake that made a shocking declaration. He used shocking twice in one sentence.
It's true. That was not me, guys.
What an amateur.
But yeah, no, this
I mean,
article,
you got to assume the guy's crazy.
I mean, you got to assume it was probably, I'm going to lean towards drugos.
Drugs. But what if he was right? Like, it's not a full moon. What if he had all the evidence? He gathered it. He had proof. He knew this guy was a vampire. And the only time he can get close is he befriended them and then invited him out to lunch in the middle of the day when he knows there's no full moon in sight. Because a guy, when you're not a when you're not a werewolf, you're going to just have normal man strength, right?
Right.
So he thought this is the only time. Like, how do you, as a normal guy, Ryan, how do you kill a vampire? I keep saying vampire because
It's because no, I get it because it's confusing. We're talking wooden stakes. You think vampire?
It keeps screwing me up. But how would you kill a werewolf, Ryan? You got to get him when he's least suspecting it. Because no offense, you're a strong dude, but you probably can't take a man beast down.
I'm gonna agree with that. During the day sounds like the best option, but then again, now you've run into the fact that there's no proof. But I mean, at the same time, how are you like after you kill a werewolf? Don't they like kind of turn back into a man? Isn't that like the story? So like
some of the lure, right? So if you stab him as a man, he turns into a werewolf. See, I told you.
And he's just like a naked dude laying there. So now you've got multiple accusations upon you.
Yeah.
Where it's like, was this your lover? And after you were done, you had instant regret, and then you killed him, and you're like, look, werewolf. You know what I mean? So like, there's just a whole lot of things that come to mind when it comes to proof. So you've got to somehow manage to snap a picture of the werewolf simultaneously whilst defending yourself. And like we said earlier, with AI being what it is the photo going to truly prove that you were being attacked by a man-wolf? I just don't think that there's a win-win in this situation other than, yes, you kill him, you know, you don't get bitten, you don't turn yourself, but now you have to spend the rest of your life in jail.
But what if he is a werewolf and he did get stabbed with that wooden stake? But if he's a werewolf in human form, can you die like a normal human, or do you still have to be killed by werewolf means? So like, would he be okay? Because if it's just some dude with a wooden stake sticking out of his chest and he's fine, that is going to draw some attention. So maybe his attack during the day would be okay because the proof being in the pudding would be the fact that that gentleman is still alive, sticking with a stake sticking out of his chest.
I'm going to lean towards, I haven't heard that theory when it comes to werewolves. When they're in human form, they can die. I'm reminded of An American Werewolf in London where the ghost of his friend was like literally telling him like, kill yourself.
That's true. Yeah.
Remember, he was straight up telling like, just do it. Just
if
kill
I
it.
had a nickel every time a ghost of my friend told me to kill myself while in the bathroom.
Well, to be fair, that was his style of humor.
Oh.
But yeah, nope, that was definitely weird. And I think we actually have another one.
Ooh, jumping in.
Huge Sasquatch statue outside Michigan marijuana dispensary sparks controversy.
By the way, this is a different Michigan marijuana dispensary than the one that we mentioned a week or two ago. This is a completely different shop. It's not the same article. It's just apparently Michigan loves Bigfoot and weed.
Well, man, who can blame him, man? A sizable Sasquatch statue, man, outside of a Michigan marijuana dispensary has become a source of controversy in a community. According to a local media report, the 14-foot-tall faux Bigfoot serves as something of a mascot for the pot shop Higher Love in the city of Menominee. Never heard of Menominee. Upon it unveiling earlier this month, the huge piece placed at the edge of the property along a busy road has understandably turned heads. However, not everyone is thrilled with the community's new cryptid. At a meeting of the Menominee,
I think it is Menominee because it's probably a Native American word, kind of like Petoskey, kind of like Mackinac,
Yeah, I'm just surprised. I usually know them all, but yeah, never heard of this one. So Menominee. So at a meeting of the Menominee Planning Commission last week, resident Stephanie Ale argued that a beloved character such as Sasquatch giving a proverbial endorsement for pot could steer the community's youngsters in the wrong direction. Children often develop a strong emotional attachment with mascots, giving the feeling of friendship and trust, she mused. This positive association often strays with children through adulthood. Elle's concerns were echoed by the Healthy Youth Coalition of Menominee,
That damn Healthy Youth Coalition, always causing trouble.
and they indicated that they conducted focus groups wherein kids in the community specifically noted the big gorilla by the bridge beckoning people into the dispensary. In response to the matter being raised at the meeting, Higher Love dismissed the suggestion that the Bigfoot is aimed at appealing to kids. This is not a cartoon character, company president Joni Moore asserted, observing that the Bigfoot outside the Menominee shop is a little bit scary, so I don't see how that's targeting children at all. Ultimately, she pointed that the piece is meant to provide a little whimsy to the community while teasing that the company may soon go all in on the cryptid as their official mascot since everybody loves Sasquatch. Sounds like a sitcom.
Yeah, next on ABC.
Yes. Everybody loves Sasquatch. Oh, sassy. Strangely enough, Higher Love is the second Michigan dispensary to recently make news by celebrating Bigfoot, as another shop made headlines last week by offering a free joint to any customer who can produce a photograph of the cryptid.
Yeah, like I said, this was a completely different story.
Yeah.
I kind of get it though, right? Like Joe Camel for Camel cigarettes, they had to stop using Joe Camel because it was like a cartoon character that appealed to kids. And even though Bigfoot may not, like their version of Bigfoot may be scary and not appeal to kids, Bigfoot himself as a character is used all the time as like a friendly thing to kids. So, associating the one over there with the one over there, I get it. I don't want them to take it down. I think there should be allowed to have a giant Bigfoot sign, but I'm just saying the argument does hold a little bit of water.
It does. One of my kids' favorite movies right now is called Son of Bigfoot.
Oh yeah?
And it's like a cutesy little film where like he's told his whole life that his spoiler alert, that his dad was dead, and then come to find out dad's a Bigfoot and so am I.
Oh, so it's a sequel to that Bigfoot erotica we were talking about.
Well, this one was meant for kids. So
Ah.
I would not show my 5-year-old that.
It's always funny when they do things that are adult but then make them for children. Like how RoboCop was a hard R, but then they had a cartoon and a bunch of toys for kids.
Yeah.
I always found that amusing to me.
Calling all comic fans, it's time to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics, where the freshest new issues, graphic novels, and manga hit the shelves every week. Whether you're looking for the hottest new series or the latest small press sensation, we've got it all. Every genre for every age, Green Brain Comics is your one-stop shop for all things graphic storytelling. Got questions? Our friendly staff knows their stuff. Whether you're a longtime fan or new to the world of comics, we've got recommendations that'll keep you coming back for more. And don't forget to check out our special events. Green Brain Comics is not just a store, it's a community. Located in East Downtown Dearborn, we are at Green Brain Comics on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Shop online at greenbraincomics.com, and remember to feed your brain at Green Brain Comics.
Earthling Entertainment special report! 1. John Barenthal's Punisher will appear in Spider-Man Brand New Day. 2. The children's restaurant Chuck E. Cheese will release an animated Christmas special in an attempt to stay relevant this holiday season. 3. Russell Crowe will star opposite Henry Cavill in the much-anticipated Highlander reboot. 4. American Pickers Season 27 will premiere on Wednesday, July 2nd, 2025 at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. This has been an Earthling Entertainment special report. It's a special. It's so special, this report. Mommy said so.
Well, that brings us to the latter half of the show, the entertainment part of the show, the pop culture, the music, all those fun, nerdy things we like to talk about. But that means that we got to start right off with
Music Mumbles.
Screamin' Sins recruits Jen Hellcat Blackwood for Love You to Death. This comes to us from Rumorg.com. Hot on the heels of the 2025 EP Living Nightmares, Kingston, Ontario-based psychobilly trio Screamin' Sins is set to release a haunting collaboration with one of the genre's heavy hitters. On June 24th, the band will unleash Love You to Death, an all-new single featuring Jen Hellcat Blackwood, a founding member and former vocalist of The Creep Show. A lot of cool names here.
Yes. Psychobilly's a fun genre.
I agree. Co-produced by Terry Benn of Glorious Sons and Letdown, and Ian Blackwood, who has produced and engineered tracks for such bands as The Anti-Queens, Volbeat, and Walk Off the Earth. Love You to Death finds Blackwood back, belting out lyrics in full Hellcat style on a raucous psychobilly track that brings to mind The Creep Show's 2006 debut album, Sell Your Soul. They say it was an honor to work with Jen and Ian Blackwood on this track, says Screamin' Sin States. They took the song to another dimension. Jen Blackwood's sassy and sultry voice blended hellishly well with our gritty and mournful sound. A must-listen for any fan of the psychobilly or horror punk genres. We hope this track helps solidify Jen's legacy and rightful place in the history of Canadian psychobilly music. Screamin' Sins, Love You to Death, featuring Jen Hellcat Blackwood, arrives on June 24th. Save it on Spotify.
Yeah. I am a big fan of the band. I like this kind of music. If you follow us on Instagram, which is Earthling Entertainment on Instagram, we do a lot of stuff. We do like groovy groolies, and I don't know. I just like the whole the psychobilly, the rockabilly, the punk, the ska. Like I'm all about that. And we had a friend growing up who was very into the horrorcore genre of music, which is the rap version of horror. You know what I mean? Or the horror version of rap is what I mean to say. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing, except this is like punk. Yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna sing about being vampires and such.
No, yeah, it's pretty cool. No, I like that kind of blend of music. The name escapes me, but I'm actually gonna go. My girlfriend loves this band. We're gonna go see them this weekend. We're actually traveling to Chicago to go see them, and I can't believe she's screaming at the radio right now. I can't. If it comes to me, I'll bring it up again. But I'm gonna go see it's kind of like a grass billy metal kind of thing.
Folky kind of.
Yeah.
Bluegrass is fun too.
Yeah.
But hey, guys, if you're into this kind of music, make sure to check out the Screamin' Sins.
I remember now the band that I'm going to see in Chicago this weekend is called The Native Howl.
Ooh,
They even got like a cool shout out from Alice Cooper.
really?
I saw a
that's
video
fun.
of Alice because I think he toured with him,
Yeah.
and he was just like, "Holy crap, these guys are awesome."
Well, that's got to make you feel legit.
I mean, they should feel legit. They are a great band. I've listened to a lot of their stuff. They're awesome. So I'm excited to see them.
Well, right on. Well, something I'm not too excited about. Unfortunately, we have more people in the industry we have to say goodbye to.
Remember that guy? Remember that gal? Well, now they're dead.
Cheers to the people we just lost. This comes to us from Page 6 and Variety. Anne Burrell. Food Network chef Anne Burrell has died. She was 55. The TV personality was found unconscious around 7:50 a.m. in her Brooklyn, New York home on Tuesday morning. A New York Police Department spokesman told Page 6 emergency services promptly arrived at the scene and pronounced her dead. Burrell's cause of death hasn't been revealed, and an investigation is ongoing. I heard this is I'm not so familiar. I don't watch the Food Channel or whatnot, but actually I heard that she was like really funny. She was really, really nice, like a really big loss for that community.
Yeah, definitely. It's real sad. I mean, it seems like it's just a weird. It could be like an aneurysm popped in her brain or something. Like it seems like it was just some weird cause of death. We'll find out in the future.
Yeah, I'm sure we will. So that brings us to Jack Betts, an actor who appeared in Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man, Sugar Cult, and several spaghetti western films, died on June 19th. His other TV credits include Gunsmoke, The FBI, It Takes a Thief, Kojak, Remington Steele, Frasier, Everybody Loves Raymond, Friends, My Name is Earl,
Woo!
The Mentalist, and Monk. Betts was also the author of Screen Test, Take One, a play about a soap opera. Jack Betts was 96.
Well, at least he had a full life. And
Yeah.
it was funny because I was trying to look up his IMDb. I'm trying to figure out who he is. I'm trying to place him. And it wasn't until My Name is Earl. And I'm like, oh, yeah. So, you know what? I do remember that guy. And hey, 96, nothing to turn your nose up to. Assuming we're all healthy and able to move and we're functional and all our parts work, I want to live that old. If I could make it to 100, that'd be kind of fun. I want to go full Dick Van Dyke, bud.
Okay, but if I make it there with you, we're just going to do some crazy stuff.
Excellent.
Okay. So bringing us along to Lynn Hamilton, a retired actress who had a recurring role as Donna Harris in Sanford and Son. She died on June 19th. Hamilton died in her home in Chicago of natural causes, according to a Facebook post from her former manager and publicist, Reverend Calvin Carson. Lynn Hamilton was 95.
Once again, glad she lived a full life. And yeah, I used to watch Sanford and Son because it was on Nick at Night. So
Yep, same.
I did watch a bunch of that, and I do remember her character. So yeah, you will be missed, Lynn.
Definitely will be missed. And you were able to retire and enjoy the last of your years. That's awesome. You know, that's a win.
It is. I mean, if you want to work until the day you die, depending if you're working on something fun or you just like work, great. But if for those who can retire and actually have the golden years,
Right.
I mean, that's amazing. Especially the older I get, the more I realize how often it is that people simply can't retire and just have to work until the day they die.
My version of retiring is when I grab my chest on the line and fall over.
Ha-ha.
Sweet retirement.
America, unfortunately. There you go. But hey, to everyone we lost this week, cheers.
Cheers.
And finally, let's move to something a little happier. Our headlines. While headlines might not always be happy, this first headline sure made me happy. You know, Ryan, do you remember a bunch of duos back in the day, right? We have Cheech and Chong. We have Bill and Ted.
Jay and Silent Bob.
Jay and Silent Bob, exactly. Well, what about Harold and Kumar, Ryan?
I think that they will live in delicious infamy.
Ah, excellent. Well, I love Harold and Kumar. Do you know that last film? Do you know when the Harold and Kumar,
The
Harold and
Christmas?
Kumar? Yeah, do you remember when that one came out?
No, but I love WaffleBot. They serve pancakes in hell.
That was a great character. But you know, that actually came out, Ryan, in 2011.
That's wild.
So it's been 14 years since a Harold and Kumar movie. I remember the first time I saw Harold and Kumar, it went through theaters, but I didn't actually see the movie. The first thing I saw was I was walking through Target, and they actually had the DVD for sale, because I think this was like 2004, so DVDs were still a thing, and I collected them. And I see this cover, and it's Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle. And without knowing anything about the movie, I was like, I'm going to pay money as a gamble. I'm going to buy this. I feel like I will enjoy this movie. And I got it, and I couldn't have been more right, Ryan.
Oh my God.
I-
What a great find.
In 2004, I was 16 or 17 years old. So a stoner comedy just really, really did it for me. And it reintroduced everyone to Neil Patrick Harris.
I was just about to say Neil Patrick Harris really shined in this movie and he didn't even have that many scenes really, but the scenes that he was in
it was like two scenes. It was like one in the middle and one at the end.
Yeah, it was so funny. Sorry for the love stains in the back seat.
You know, the role of him playing himself in Harold and Kumar is what got him How I Met Your Mother. That's why he was cast as Barney in How I Met Your Mother. And that
makes
show
sense.
lasted like 10 seasons, you know what I mean? And it revitalized his career, because before that, Doogie Howser, obviously in the 90s, but he also did Starship Troopers in 97.
That's right.
Which honestly was why I knew who he was because I was always a sci-fi kid, and in 1997 I was like 10 years old, so I was all about Starship Troopers because it had bugs, sci-fi, boobs.
I was about to say bugs and boobs.
And yeah, and I was 10 years old, so I was like, "Woo, this is the best movie ever."
Well, yeah, and then he was in then that even got him to Seth MacFarlane for 1,000 Ways to Die in the Old West. The dude with the mustache.
Oh,
He had like a whole mustache sequence.
oh, that was definitely very good. But then Harold and Kumar, to those guys in particular, Cal Penn, he played the helper to Van Wilder. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And yeah, and then the other character, I forget his name. I'm sorry, John Chow, I believe.
Yeah.
He was known as an American Pie guy because he was the one who's oogling Stifler's mom in a portrait.
Oh
Who this
my
in the-
God.
so hot.
That was him.
So hot. So at this time, Cal Penn, I knew a little bit from, like I said, Van Wilder, but that was it. So it was a real gamble. But I remember the cover had this little raccoon, his White Castle. I'm like, this is clearly product placement, but I'm in.
Oh, dude, and it was done well. It was done well. So let's go ahead and jump into headline number 1.
Earthling Entertainment headlines.
Harold and Kumar 4 is in the works. This comes to us from Variety.com. Break out the White Castle because Cal Penn and John Cho are expected to return for another Harold and Kumar adventure.
Yay!
A 4th movie is in the works with the original Harold and Kumar writers John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg, set to direct a new installment in the buddy stoner comedy series Variety has confirmed. They will also write the screenplay with Josh Heald, Mandate Pictures, which is owned by Lionsgate, who will produce the film. Cho and Penn are presumed to reprise their roles as Harold and Kumar, but no deals have been finalized. It's unclear if Neil Patrick Harris, who played a pivotal role in the film series, will be back.
I think he will be back because, you know, in the 3rd film, A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas, or whatever that was called, he says, looks directly at the camera, see you in the 4th one. And, you know, I just don't think Neil Patrick Harris is a liar, Ryan.
I don't think so either. I believe him. I trust that man.
I mean, I could be wrong, but like I said, since it got him a revitalized career, I just feel like he's going to want to come back. Like, I mean, unless they're like, we're literally going to pay you nothing and punch you in the balls on set, I think he's going to come back.
He might even consider that.
Well, there you go.
He might be into that. We're fired up to bring Harold and Kumar back in a return to the unapologetically R-rated, smoke-filled chaos that started it all. Hurwitz and Schlossberg said in a statement to The Hollywood Reporter, which broke the news of Harold and Kumar 4. It's high time they puff and pass their wisdom onto a new generation. Just don't tell their kids. The original adventure, 2004's Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, follows 2 pals whose pot-fueled munchies trip to the fast food burger joint takes a zany turn. The comedy became a hit and spawned 2 sequels. 2008's Harold and Kumar Escape from Guantanamo Bay,
Which aged really weirdly.
It was so funny. And 2011's A Very Harold and Kumar 3D Christmas. Penn has long expressed a desire to return to Harold and Kumar's world. We would love to do a 4th movie. John Cho and I text about it all the time. Penn told Variety in 2020. John Hurwitz and Hayden Schlossberg, who created and wrote all 3 movies in the franchise, we would all love to do one. I think we all thankfully have the blessing of being really busy right now and want to find the right venue and right timing.
So, considering it's the same people behind this 4th one now that it's finally happening, I think it is a good chance that Wafflebot will return, Ryan.
I hope so. He was my hero. I love you, Wafflebot. I love you too.
But like, what a journey! The first one came out in 2004, so it's gonna be like 20-something years when this 4th one comes out. And from the beginning, they're basically like, I don't know, 20-something stoners who are just living in an apartment together, all the way through the 3rd one where they're starting their lives with the people they're with and having kids. And now, assuming the same amount of years passes between the films, their kids are gonna be like 15, 16 years old. So I think we're going to really relate to this movie, Ryan, because we're going to be, it's like, watch the dads trying to sneak out and smoke a joint without the kids knowing.
Dude,
It's like-
100. That's where my brain went as well.
Yeah.
I hope Danny Trejo comes back as
Trejo.
Cho's wife's father.
The father-in-law. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to imagine everyone's going to come back because I forget the actresses' names. I don't mean to diminish, but both the female leads that were the love interests of Harold and Kumar, they were back. Like introduced from the first one was John Chow's character's girl. What was it, Vanessa? I don't remember.
I
point is,
honestly forget the names, man. Sorry,
all I'm
man.
trying to say is they've all come back, so you'd have to assume that they're not going to replace actors. They're actually going to try to bring people. I hope. I am always pulled out when they replace an actor, but it's supposed to be the same character. And I get it, it happens. Like The Mummy 3, it didn't feel like the same character when it was, Rick O'Connor's wife. It's like, no, that's a different person. In Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat Annihilation, there was a different Sonya Blade, and I'm like, well,
and a different Raiden too, I believe.
Exactly. I'm like, well, those aren't really Sonya Blade and Raiden,
Right. No, I hope they bring back the guy who was the cop with the short shorts in Reno 911. I can't remember his name, but he's hilarious.
His name is Thomas Lennon.
I hope they bring him back because honestly, he made his first hit into the series being like the new friend
in the third film,
in the Christmas movie, and just the antics with him and his baby were absolutely hilarious. And I would just love to see that come back. I don't know why. I don't know. He's got
my baby's on cocaine,
dude. Right. Oh my god. And I just always think about him and like I Love You Man, where he's just like he slaps him. He's like whore. And he's like, I can explain that. I would love to hear this.
Yeah. Thomas Lennon plays a lot of really fun characters. He's a good one. But yeah, guys, are you excited for Harold and Kumar 4? I mean, I know I am. I had a lot to say about it.
Headline number 2. Netflix is developing the iconic 80s video game Dragon's Lair into a movie. This comes to us from Nerdist.com. Back in the early 80s, the arcade game Dragon's Lair was the cutting edge of video game technology. Back then, graphics in games were basic pixels representing tiny spaceships shooting asteroids or Pac-Man. Dragon's Lair used actual animated footage, animated by Don Bluth.
Love Don Bluth, dude. He's a great director. Yeah. I'll talk more about him in a second. I want to interrupt that quick. Go ahead.
This was leaps and bounds over what everyone else was doing. Kids at the local mall arcade lost their dang minds. Now, 4 decades later, Dragon's Lair is looking to make a comeback, this time as a film. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Dragon's Lair is now in development as a film for Netflix. Ryan Reynolds is attached as a producer, but not as a star. The Muppets and Muppets Most Wanted, James Bobbin will direct. In the game, the player fought as a knight named Dirk the Daring. As Dirk, one had to rescue the beautiful Princess Daphne from a powerful dragon called Singe and a sinister wizard by the name of Mordroc. Yes, the game borrowed heavily from a lot of popular fantasy books and films. The animation in the game was by the legendary Don Bluth, the animator behind films like The Secret of Nymphs, An American Tale, and All Dogs Go to Heaven.
Yeah, so if you watch his stuff, it all carries that aesthetic. You know what I mean? Like that old animation style. So The Secret of Nim was probably the first thing I ever saw that he did. That was based on a great book. But it's funny because he never does sequels. So All Dogs Go to Heaven, he did. But he did not do All Dogs Go to Heaven 2. He did An American Tale. But he did not do Fievel Goes West. But he has such a distinct art style. You might remember one of his last films he did. It starred Drew Barrymore and Matt Damon. Once again, it was animated, but it was Titan AE. Do you remember that flick?
I remember the movie, but I don't remember the premise, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, totally. He did Cool World with Brad Pitt, that half animation, half human, kind of like a Roger Rabbit type film in the 90s. I think it was 92. But the point is, he has always towed the line of like animation being not just for kids. Like his were adult films almost. I mean, that's not true. They were kids movies, but they were more adult. You know what I mean? Like the movies in the 80s, the kids movies that we watched growing up are a lot different. You get like The Land Before Time, and it's like the dinosaur gets killed and it's dramatic, and then you get the sequel and it's like there's a baby T-Rex and it's gonna sing I like eating eggs. It's just a completely different tone.
I have to say that with All Dogs Go to Heaven, what a ride that took young us on, because it is arguably should never have been seen by kids. It is a messed up film.
It is.
He gets wasted, and then his former partner kills him.
Yeah.
He goes to heaven, and he steals and winds his watch backward so that he can come back to Earth. And as he's coming back, his angel is like, "You'll never come back." And then he does end up dying later on in the film and goes to hell, like in legitimate hell, where demons start tearing at him. And there's this giant Satan demon friggin' thing coming out of the lava, like laughing and grabbing him, and he somehow figures out how to get out of that. Like
I don't remember all the hell stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember the sequel he went to hell, and it's like the hell was like cats and stuff.
Oh no! In this one, it was straight up. It was horrible. Like that movie was straight up effed up. Like
Well,
it was messed up.
Well, that's kind of my point. Is Don Bluth was a little bit more of an adult animated film guy. You know what I mean?
There was some darkness there. Yeah.
Yeah. But the point is, he did a Dragon's Lair cartoon, and it was awesome. And now they're making a Dragon's Lair movie. Continue.
Dragon's Lair rode a wave of high fantasy popularity in the 80s. This trend was fueled by things like Dungeons and Dragons and movies like Dragon Slayer, Beastmaster, and several others. The original Dragon's Lair arcade game was so popular that ABC commissioned a Saturday morning animated series the very next year. In that short-lived cartoon, actor Clive Revel narrated Dirk's adventures. He was the original voice of Emperor Palpatine in The Empire Strikes Back. Several sequel games followed, but none were as popular as the original 1983 game. Currently, Dragon's Lair doesn't have a cast or a production start date yet, but it sounds like they are looking to get the ball rolling on this one soon.
Can't see why not, man. Fantasy movies are always fun, and unfortunately, Hollywood seems to only want to make things that are existing IP. So at least this is obscure enough that you can just do basically whatever you want in a fantasy film. I mean, I don't think they're going to follow any of the story from the animated show. They're just going to take the lore from the game. So you can go a lot of ways with this. Could be a lot of fun. The only question is, I wonder if it's going to be are we talking PG, PG-13, R? Like, where is it going to be tonally, you know?
I have a feeling it'll meet somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Probably be like a PG-13, you know.
I just I hope Don Bluth, he made it seem a little bit more edgy, because like we talked about, his animation style was a little bit more adult. Well, the character, the female princess, like was just, let's just say, very flirty. You know what I mean? So I'm just wondering if they're going to toe that line of like, hey, what's going on with this rated PG-13, rated R in the middle kind of line, you know?
Well, welcome to 2025. Who knows?
Who knows? But, you know, Ryan, like I said, everything old is new again, you know? Not just bringing this video game back to Netflix. Turns out Netflix is going to just take any old IP they could find.
Why
and that
not?
brings us to headline number 3.
Land of the Lost reboot eyed at Netflix. This comes to us from HollywoodReporter.com. Netflix is considering a return to the Land of the Lost. Then how can it be lost if they can keep going back to it? Just saying. Just throwing it out there. The streamer is in the first stages of development on a reboot of the 1970s series about a father and his 2 kids who, after the greatest earthquake ever known, are transported to a world where dinosaurs still exist and other fantastic creatures abound. Legendary Television and Sid and Marty Krofft Productions, which produced the original show, are behind the new project. It's important to understand that Land of the Lost is just at the starting line of its development process. No writer is attached yet. Deanna Croft Pope, VP Development and Production at Croft's company and daughter of the late Marty Krofft, will produce. Land of the Lost originally ran from 1974 to 1976 as a Saturday morning series on NBC, following Rick Marshall with Spencer Milligan and his kids Will, Wesley Ure, and Holly, played by Kathy Coleman, as they explored the mysterious land, befriending a humanoid boy named Chaka, played by Philip Paley. Chaka, thank you. And avoiding the hostile Sleestocks.
The Sleestacks. They're like the lizard
Sleestacks.
people, the anthropomorphic lizard people that go and they just hiss. They go.
Oh, okay. If you can't tell, I've never seen Land of the Lost. Never. So I know
you
nothing.
saw the Will Ferrell movie.
Nope.
Really?
Nope.
Okay, well, keep going. I'm going to.
Future NBA champion and WNBA coach Bill Laimbeer played one of the Sleestacks while he was a Palos Verdes high schooler. The original show got a second life as part of a CBS Saturday morning lineup in the 1980s.
This is what I remember. I thought it was the 90s, but I guess I was just watching it on Nickelodeon in syndication. But this is the Land of the Lost I remember.
The Crofts remade the show for ABC in the early 1990s with a different family at its center. In 2009, a feature film starring Will Ferrell,
Yep.
Danny McBride, and Anna Friel, and loosely based on the series, drew poor reviews. The Croft brothers were co-producers but not heavily involved in the film, which they later said they disliked. Netflix and Legendary TV declined comment.
Well, of course, the original creators would not like the movie. The movie satired the show. You know, it's kind of like the Brady Bunch movie. I don't think the original creators of Brady Bunch were like, yeah, that movie where they made fun of us the whole time, that was great.
I mean, in a weird way, though, if you can kind of take that kind of jab, like, you know, I mean, it was a different time. So,
It
like,
was.
you
And
know,
I liked the movie. I think Will Ferrell and Danny McBride did a good job. But the show I remembered was the 90s show. That was the one I grew up with, the Saturday morning 90s show, which was a remake, apparently. And that one only lasted one season. It was a lot of fun. But I, as an adult, have bought all the old Land of the Lost. It is so weird, bud. It's like watching something that I made in hig's school because it's like terrible green screens and like completely green screen environment. So it's like was cutting edge back in the day, but you got these people walking across. Do you remember Nick Arcade where they went into the video game?
I remember very vaguely.
Okay, well, it's like that.
Okay. I think that 90s reboot show is the closest I ever got to watching it because I remember the beginning, like the
ground
the
opens
jingle.
up.
Yeah, I remember
In
the jingle.
Land of the Lost.
Wasn't it Land of the Lost?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, yeah, that's all I remember. That's
Okay.
literally it.
So you did see it. It just didn't have any impact on you whatsoever.
No, at that age, if it wasn't a cartoon, I don't think I cared. Rocko's Modern Life. Just saying.
Well, something that I have loved my whole life, another franchise. Once again, everything old is new. Here is our headline number 4, which I am also very excited about because I've been waiting for this for years. It seems like they announced this, and I could be wrong in the timeline, but it feels like they announced this show about 5 years ago, and it's finally happening. Here's headline number 4.
Podcast day is a very dangerous day. Headline number 4. A24's Friday the 13th prequel series, Crystal Lake, is finally filming.
You know what's funny? That you know what that comes from?
Is he just saying, like, kill?
He's saying kill her because there is a point where Betsy Palmer is playing Pamela Voorhees, and it's towards the end of the first film, and she's kill her, mommy.
That's
Kill her.
right.
And they took the "k" from kill and the from her, and just.
And I feel like in the very beginning, like those first couple films, if you really listen close and crank the volume, you can straight up hear it. Because I remember not catching that. But then in the later films, I feel like they really messed with it and made it more like a like they really just, like, I don't know, quickened the pace with it or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm having a weird memory of that.
I don't know, man. We should go back and watch them all.
I like that idea. This comes to us from Fangoria.com. It's been a long time coming, but filming is finally officially underway on A24's Crystal Lake, with showrunner Brad Caleb Kane revealing on Instagram that the series is filming under the hilariously apt fake title of Mama's Boy. While we still don't know who is playing the masked maniac Jason Voorhees,
He's going to be a kid, so who cares?
right? Crystal Lake's cast so far includes Linda Cardellini as Jason's mother, Pamela.
Yeah, and you know who she is, right?
Name sounds familiar.
She's Velma from the live-action Scooby-Doo. Hawkeye's wife from
Oh.
the MCU.
Oh, she's
Yeah,
babe.
yeah.
William Catlett as a character named Levon Brooks. Devin Kessler as Brianna Brooks. Gwendolyn Sundstrom as Grace. And Cameron Scoggins in a legacy role as Officer Dorf. Specifics regarding the plot remain totally under wraps, but we do know that Crystal Lake will...
Hold on. Specifics over the plot. That is ridiculous. What are you talking about? We know what the freaking plot is. We have Pamela Voorhees. We have her at that age. We have him at the camp. We know Jason's gonna drown. What are you talking about? We know everything. You even tell us in the synopsis what this show is about.
It's a total mystery. We got him. They'll never see it coming. So, we do know that Crystal Lake will flesh out the story of Cardellini's Mrs. Voorhees, a mother who had given up a singing career to raise a special needs child, and takes a dark turn when she loses her son.
Yeah, so Ryan, what is the show about?
I have no idea whatsoever, Joe. Despite a troubled history, what with losing original showrunner Brian Fuller, it's hugely exciting to see Crystal Lake finally beginning to take shape, bringing Jason to life again for the first time since 2009's reboot, Friday the 13th. Crystal Lake does not currently have a release date, but stay tuned. For more, get the lowdown on what else the Friday the 13th franchise might have in store. Crystal Lake will be an 8-episode series and does not yet have a release date. Surprise. Just saying, I grew up and everybody had their favorite horror guy, right? Like we all kind of talked like a friend of ours, his was
guy.
right. We had a friend, his name is Mike, and he would always say Michael Myers from Halloween.
I suspected it was always because they shared a name.
Right, that's similar.
Yeah,
Right.
but then we also he also liked Ghostface, right? Because we always did
Yep.
that when we made our satire movies.
And Chucky. He was a big Chucky fan.
He's a big Chucky, but I know where you're going for this though. And
Mine
yours?
was always Jason Voorhees.
Me too.
Always.
Yes, I have. So I just had to sell the Crystal Lake Chronicles, which is a 4-book series, young adult series, and I sold it for like $300. I'd probably be able to get 4, but it was just these 4 paperbacks. But I have these 5. 20, they came out in the early 2000s Jason Voorhees novels, and they're worth about $200 a piece. And I love this franchise so much, and I don't want to sell them, but they keep going up every time I look, and I'm I'm at the point where I might have to try to sell these things, man.
Well, and I get it. That's like the pain of the collector, right? But when it comes to Friday the 13th, there's just so many iconic moments that what was it? What's his name from the Goonies? Corey Feldman. The one that he was in where he was like obsessed with masks and he like made all these masks.
Yeah, that was number 4. It was Friday the 13th, the final chapter. He also made an appearance in the second film, which was the next film, which is Friday the 13th, A New Beginning.
And I loved that one so much. Like I could still hear his like die as he's chopping at him, and then
At
you
the
hear
very end of the film.
die, Daddy. Like and then it was like the whole thing was at the end. He grabs the mask, puts it on him, and stares at the camera. Freeze frame.
Yeah, so did the evil move on to young Corey Feldman's character? Well, that's what the story could have went, but then Corey Feldman couldn't come back for the sequel, so they completely changed it. Also, well, horror movies, they do that every film. Like, how many apprentices does Jigsaw have? That's all I'm saying.
Right.
My favorite Friday the 13th film was actually Friday the 13th 6. It's where they brought Jason Voorhees back after he was, spoiler, killed and not actually in Friday the 13th 5. And that was called Friday the 13th 6, Part 6, Jason Lives. And that was my favorite one because it really invoked the old gothic style of like monster movies because it had the whole getting struck by lightning.
I was
bringing him
about to
back.
say.
It turned him into a zombie. It's what made Jason undead Jason.
Right. I was going to say that was the one where the guy like dug him up and his friend's like,
Yeah.
come on, man, let's get out of here. And he like sticks him in the chest with like the pole.
Yeah, that character, not the actor, obviously, but that character is the same character Corey Feldman played in the film you like.
Okay,
Yeah,
then
it's
there
the
you
exact
go.
same character.
That makes sense. Honestly, I never tied that together. But another one, which
They,
is,
they recasted him in every film he was in.
there you go. Well, this is probably like a hot take, but I love Jason Goes to Hell. I thought that movie was great.
Hated Jason Goes to
I
Hell.
loved that movie. The fact that like the coroner just eats the heart and becomes Jason.
Jason wasn't even in that movie. He was in the first 10 minutes. He was in the last 10 minutes. And then for the rest of it, we're following worms and random guys. And they're like, here's a freaking knife, and look, the Necronomicon that we'll never address.
I don't know why, but I thought that was a good one. I haven't watched it probably since I was younger.
Hey man, all art hits people differently, so like that one worked for you, didn't work for me, is all I'm gonna say.
Well, and of course, Freddy vs. Jason was absolutely amazing. One of my favorite, of those kind of weird collab films. I loved that movie so much. I put it right next to Bride of Chucky. I love those kind of movies.
Well, 1 through 8, I would call the classic series. Those are the ones that are taking place in the camp and, are the Jason running around. And then 9 was when we get to Jason Goes to Hell. And those are kind of like the second gen ones. So if we're going to talk about the originals, I'd say definitely number 6 is one of my favorites, but number 2 is actually my favorite. That was before he even had the hockey mask. That was when we first introduced adult Jason, and the whole film he's running around with a sack over his head.
Yep, with one eye hole, and he gets hung at the end.
Yeah, exactly. It was funny because the guy who played Jason talked about how they had to use double-sided tape, and because he kept falling off and he's running through the woods, he couldn't see it. He would run right into trees and stuff.
Ow.
Yeah. I really wish that film had the hockey mask because it's so iconic, but I do believe that is the best Jason movie. It ends where we get Pamela Voorhees' head, and she, our main character Ginny, wears the Pamela sweater, and it's just acts like the mom. And
Yep.
It's Jason, it's me, Mama Jason.
Yeah.
So that one is my favorite, I have to say.
Probably one of my favorite deaths is, I believe it was in 7, which was
7 was the one with Carrie.
The sleeping bag death,
Okay,
where
yeah.
he just closes up the sleeping bag and just breaks her in half around a tree.
Yeah.
That was a pretty brutal way to die. Just saying.
The remake in 2009 did one with the sleeping bag, and you think that he's gonna do that, but instead he hangs her over a fire. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that. I want to give that one another watch because it was different. It kind of explained how he was able to kind of catch up with everybody by just walking, because that was always the joke, that people are sprinting and he's just walking, and then he just, surprise, they had a whole underground system that he had
in the 2009 one.
Yeah.
The Platinum Dooms remake. Okay, that one is highly underrated because they kind of took the first, let's say 30-40 minutes of that film and kind of recapped the first 3 films and then had a proper sequel after that. I know it sounds weird, but that's kind of how that 2009 movie was.
I definitely got to give it another watch because, but when I was a kid, I was far too young to be watching them, but boy, howdy did I watch them. I watched every Friday the 13th. They were my favorites, and I honestly, every now and then I'd just be like, I'm feeling spooky, and I'd pop one in. I'd just pick on the random. I'll admit, the first couple were they're classics, but a little slower pace for younger me. So I think it was from 3, even maybe 4 and on were my favorites.
Really? Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I take a look at it from not just nostalgia, but also a filmmaker standpoint, and just knowing the stories behind the first one, where it's they actually rented out a Boy Scout camp, right? And then they made this fake bathroom for the show, and they had to leave for some reason. But when they came back, everyone used the fake bathroom. A whole Boy Scout camp used the fake bathroom with no plumbing, and just a bunch of weird stories, man.
And I don't know. This is another completely random memory of mine. When they are in a mobile home, right? They're driving in the mobile home. The couple just did the down and dirty, and he's catches her in the little bathroom in the mobile home and straight up presses her face through the wall, it even mashes her mouth into it.
And then the outside of the mobile home, it shows her face as it's indented into it.
Right. And I just remember the driver being like, "What are you doing back there? Taking a shit?" And then Jason, grabs him. The thing flips on its side and crashes right. And then you just get this awesome shot of just Jason standing, on top of this mobile home on its side with fire coming out. And
low angle, looking real powerful and menacing.
It was really arguably one of the coolest shots in my opinion. I have that solidified in my brain.
Well, that's the thing about this Crystal Lake series is we are getting basically the prequel to the first movie. Maybe they'll figure out a clever way to put Jason Voorhees in it. Maybe we'll be cross-cutting between a present day Jason killing people and then cutting back to when I was a kid, how I became Jason. I don't know. But as it stands, it looks like we're going to just get Mongoloid Jason who gets drowned and Mother who goes crazy and starts killing folks. But I kind of, I talked myself into it. I hope they do cross cut with a modern day time and we can get some real hockey mask Jason. It would be a missed opportunity not to.
Why am I imagining like Jason like in like a fancy like red robes, with cross-legged, sitting in front of a fire, like one of those like hi, you may know me from the Friday the 13th, Jason.
Like
My
it's
name
a
is-
framing device.
My name is Voorhees, Jason Voorhees. Here's a story of how all this came to be. Like I just
Yeah, at the end of each episode, oh, mom, doing silly shit again.
right? I don't know why. If they wanted to go that route with it, I could see that actually kind of working.
Well, that's all some exciting stuff, but unfortunately, it does bring us to the end of the show. That's right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this one. And please remember to hit that download button and follow us on all our social medias, which is Facebook, we have TikTok, we have Instagram, and pretty much anywhere you look for Earthling Entertainment, you're going to find us.
So, your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to share this podcast with a coworker, with a friend. Listen to us on your way to work, and don't forget to press that download button.
And from all of us here at Earthling Entertainment, see ya.
With Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang.
Why, hello. I'm your host who just tried some Soylent Green, and I gotta be honest, ain't bad. Joe Wakefield.
Hey, I got to pet a dog today. I'm Ryan Lang. That's a highlight.
Oh my God, you got to pet a dog?
Yeah, I pet a dog.
Oh my God.
What an
You know,
honor.
I thought I wasn't gonna stop. But you fucking, it's so out of left field. I'm gonna pet a dog. It's like, what do I do with this? This isn't relevant for the show. Is he
Oh.
making a joke? What's happening?
What an honor.
I always with you. I'm like, you should try to say something. And you're like, I'm gonna pet a dog today.